A YouTuber went into an empty mansion on New Year's Eve. He slowly climbed a spiral staircase and opened a heavy door, walking into rooms that looked like they had not been touched by time. He had no idea what the place's past was or how dangerous it was inside. There were still valuable things sitting where they were left, in the middle of silence and dust. All of a sudden, soft footsteps broke the silence in the hallways. He was hiding behind a column and his camera was still recording. He knew this wasn't just any old building that had been left empty. It was an old Rothschild home, and the truth that was hidden inside those forgotten walls was much scarier than anyone thought. The family that had everything in the past. Before you can understand how amazing these empty mansions are, you need to know about the Rothschild family. And trust me, the truth is much more shocking than any idea you've ever heard. In the Jewish ghetto of Frankfurt, Germany, in 1744, it all began. Mayer Amshel Rothschild was born in a very small house that was only 900 square feet. This small area was shared by his family and another family. They didn't have much. But Mayer Emil was good with money. He began by selling coins and over time became friendly with wealthy nobles. He then did something very smart. He didn't keep all 5 of his kids in Frankfurt. Instead, he sent each one to a different big city in Europe. Some people went to Paris, London, Vienna, and Naples, while others stayed in Frankfurt. In history, this made the first truly global banking network. When a government needed a loan, the Rothschild in that city could set it up, and his brothers from other parts of Europe would send the money. The brothers were able to share information faster than the government could. They had their own private delivery service that was faster than the royal ones. By the early 1800s, the Rothschild family was paying for whole wars. They gave money to the Duke of Wellington's forces to fight Napoleon. In 1825, the Rothschilds stepped in and saved the Bank of England during a disaster that could have brought down the British economy. The British government wanted to buy the Suez Canal from Egypt in 1875, but Parliament wasn't meeting at the time and couldn't give the money. Within 24 hours, the Rothschild family gave £4 million. So that Britain could take charge of one of the world's most important rivers. Historians have tried to figure out how much money this family had. One researcher came to the conclusion that no family in history had ever had such power over so much of the world's money. There isn't a single wealthy family in India, not even the Madush family in Italy or the Fugger family in Germany. The Rothschilds were better than all of them. James Mayer de Rothschild, who was in charge of the French branch, built up a fortune that is about 5 times what Bill Gates has today, and he was only one of 5 brothers. This unimaginable wealth came with properties that were also unimaginable. The Rothschild family owned at least 41 palaces in Europe when they were at the height of their power. From England to Austria, 41 huge farms are spread out. People in that part of England started calling it Rothschildshire because so many of their homes were there. The manors of Waddesdon, Mentmore, Ascot, Halton, Traying Park, and Irope were all only a few miles away from each other. Each one is owned by a different family member. But this is what no one saw coming. In the end, some of these amazing palaces would be left empty and to rot, with treasures inside that no one came back for. It took urban explorers decades to finally break in, and what they found shocked the whole internet. They moved a whole village to build the house. Christopher Nolan picked Mentor Towers because it was a big enough house to play Wayne Manor in Batman Begins. The secret society scenes in Stanley Kubrick's thriller Eyes Wide Shut, which he made with Tom Cruise, were filmed at Mentmore Towers. The Spice Girls made the video for Goodbye. This is where Roxy Music filmed the video for Avalon. In Johnny English Brazil, The Mummy, and The Mummy Returns, the mansion has been seen. True story, though, is even more exciting than any movie that was shot there. It was Baron Mayer de Rothschild's dream to build England's grandest home ever. He found the right spot on top of a hill with views that went for miles in all directions. There was just one catch. On that hilltop, there was already a village. At that time, most wealthy men would have just kicked everyone out and torn down their houses. But the Rothschilds did not follow this path. The whole village was moved. Every single house was moved. Every family got better housing in a different place. All of it was paid for by the Rothschilds. After that, work began on what would become one of the most famous Victorian homes. In order to build his house, Baron Mayer hired Sir Joseph Paxton. Paxton had just finished creating the amazing Crystal Palace for the Great Exhibition of 1851. It was made of glass and iron and amazed everyone around the world. He now used his talent to build a private palace. From 1852 to 1854, just 2 years, the house was built. It had a huge central hall with a glass roof that let a lot of natural light inside. From each corner rose 4 towers. The architecture took parts from both the Jacobean and Elizabethan periods to make something that looked like it belonged to royalty. But building wasn't the only thing that was done. Even kings would be envious of what the Rothschilds put in this house. One of the best art collections ever put together in a private home was put in Menmore Towers. Whole rooms were named after the items that were kept there. There is the Blarenberg Room, the Anne Frank Room, the Limoges Room, and the Amber Room. Each room showed off a different type of valuable items. A huge black and white marble fireplace stood in the main hall. Artists who study art think that the famous painter Rubens himself designed it. In the 1850s, the Rothschild family bought it for just £400. It's worth a lot of money now. French frames made of carved wood called bazari were used to decorate the walls. The famous Parisian mansion called the Hôtel de Villars had these taken away. Menmore was the first English home to have these kinds of French decorations. There were also secret areas hidden all over the house that not even the most experienced visitors ever found. There were secret rooms in the library that were hidden behind some books. Different parts of the house were linked by secret tunnels. The Rothschilds had built a palace full of secrets for themselves. But when World War II started, this house of fun got a new, scary job to do. Menmore Towers was chosen by the British government for a top-secret task. And for decades, no one would find out what they hid in the basement. The secret bunker that was built to keep Britain's most valuable items safe. During the Blitz, when German bombs hit London, the British government had to make a scary choice. Where could they hide the most important cultural assets of the country? The museums would lose hundreds of years' worth of priceless artifacts if they were hit. They picked the Menmore Towers. There was a room deep in the estate's outbuildings that was known as the Battery Room. In the past, this area was where the generators that gave the mansion gas and power lived. It became much more important during the war, though. It was turned into a safe for Britain's most valuable things. In secret, the government brought valuable items from all over the country to this hidden spot. The beautiful gold state coach, which came from the royal collection and is still used for coronations today, came from the royal collection. Paintings from the National Portrait Gallery were wrapped and put away with great care. There were portraits from Speaker's house at the Palace of Westminster that made the trip. The well-known wood carvings by Grinling Gibbons were taken from Hampton Court Palace to Menmore to be kept safe. Pieces of painted ceilings from Greenwich and Marlborough House were moved from one place to another. Even Whitehall's statue of King Charles I riding a horse was hidden inside the house. During the years that bombs destroyed buildings all over Britain, this Rothschild estate quietly looked after the country's artistic heritage. The house that a Jewish banking family built became the ark that kept British culture alive during the worst times of the country's history. The treasures were put back in their museums after the war was over. Ment stayed in the Rothschild family for many generations as a home. But the golden age was coming to an end. Death and taxes were about to come together in a way that would shock the art world and leave this beautiful house empty. What happened next would change the rules about preservation in Britain for good. The sale for £6 million that made people in Britain cry. The 6th Earl of Rosebery passed away in 1974. Menmore Towers was passed down to him from his mother's side of the family, who was a Rothschild. Now, his replacement had to deal with a terrible problem. The estate owed millions of pounds in transfer taxes that were out of this world. What a great deal the new Earl made the British government. For only $2 million, he would sell them the whole mansion and everything that was in it. It was worth a lot more than this. It was worth a lot more just for the house itself. The art collection was really valuable. Taking inflation into account, £2 million in 1974 would be equal to about £25 million today. This was pretty much giving away the whole Rothschild estate, which had a world-class art collection. The Labour government said no. The sale that followed was one of the most important in British history. It was 1977, and Sotheby's came to Mentor Towers to sell anything that wasn't nailed down. It was one of the biggest sales of the century, they said. Gainsborough's works of art left the building over the course of several days. The person who bid the most money won some paintings by Reynolds. All over the world, works by B.R., Drewer, and Moroni were bought and used. Famous furniture designer Jean-Henri Resner was all over the place. Collectors from all over the world bought things that Thomas Chippendale made. Vanson and Say porcelain, Italian Maiolica ceramics, German and Russian silver and gold work, Limoges enamels, and French tapestries were also sold at the sale. In just a few days, one of history's richest families lost all the things they had carefully collected over hundreds of years. 6 million naira were raised at the auction when the hammer dropped for the last time. This sounds like a huge amount of money, but experts said it was only a small part of how much the collection was thought to be worth. It was impossible to measure the societal loss. Britain was shocked by the Mentor sale. A whole Rothschild estate was on the market for very little money and was being offered to the country. The government let it go. People were so angry that it is now seen as a turning point for the British preservation movement. In the end, new rules were made to stop losses like these from happening again. While Mentor Towers still had time, it was too late. The house was now empty. Its rooms echoed with images of grandeur that had long since faded. Its status was not clear. After that, a strange event took place. A group of Indian meditators bought Batman's future home. That was just the start of the strange trip the mansion took toward being left alone. From transcendental meditation to falling apart completely. A strange buyer showed up a year after the big sale, in 1978. For $240,000, the Maharishi Foundation bought Mentor Towers. Transcendental meditation, which became very popular in the West after the Beatles studied with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, was pushed by this group. This house was the center of the meditation movement in Britain for 20 years. Rothschild bankers used to talk about how to finance countries in these rooms, which are now used by people looking for inner peace. The change was strange, but at least the building was being taken care of. During this time, Hollywood saw how good Mentor could be. Film crews started showing up to use the mansion as a location. It was perfect for movies that needed impressive sets because of its Gothic grandeur and huge size. Stanley Kubrick filmed parts of Eyes Wide Shut there, and the famous secret society scenes were shot in the house. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, the building was in many movies. Then things changed again in 1999. Simon Halliby, a real estate developer from Syria, paid £25 million for Mentor Towers. Halliby was one of the richest men in Britain at that time. His wealth was thought to be £3 billion. He had big plans for the farm. Halliby wanted to turn Mentor into a 6-star luxury hotel with 171 suites. It would be one of the world's most exclusive places to visit. The job needed a lot of repairs and permission from the government. Applications for planning were sent in. Architects made complicated plans, but a citizen in the area went to court to question the planning permission. The legal battle went on for years, which stopped any building from happening. Things went badly after that. The financial collapse of 2008 wiped out Simon Halliby's real estate empire. His wealth went away. He filed for bankruptcy in 2010. He lost almost everything, but he wouldn't give up Mentor Towers. Even as the land fell apart around him, he held on to it. Mentor Towers is now on Historic England's list of historical sites that are in danger. Priority A is the worst classification that can be given to something. This means that the building is at immediate risk of falling apart even more quickly or losing its fabric, and no answer has been agreed upon. The roof of the service wing is in terrible shape. The main house's roof is falling apart, letting rain and bad weather into the inside. The building's ceilings are falling in all over. Some of the best examples of Victorian design and workmanship in Britain can be found in the reception rooms, which are in danger of water damage. In the meantime, Thames Valley Police said in 2024 that they responded quickly to calls about break-ins at Mentor. It's become common for people to trespass on music. Motion sensors and cameras on trees are used by security teams to walk around the grounds. Urban explorers who have been there recently say that guards with chains beat anyone caught inside. The people in the neighborhood think that Mentor is very, very dangerous. There is a very good chance of getting caught, but some hikers have made it inside. Millions of people watched what they posted online and were shocked to see that valuable things were still inside the mansion after the 1977 auction that was meant to empty it. What the city explorers found, on the last night of 2021, a YouTuber named Vacant Haven broke into Mentor Towers. The most watched video of anyone exploring the house ever was the one he took. He went through a hole in the wall and was in almost complete darkness. He used his flashlight to find his way through the falling apart interior until he came to a spiral staircase that he carefully climbed up, not knowing what was waiting for him up there. He stopped in his tracks when he pushed open a door at the top. In front of him was a room that was completely full of expensive art, furniture, and items. Even though the famous sale happened decades ago and the building was officially empty, treasures were still there. Things that belonged to one of the richest families in history were just lying there in the dark. After that, he heard steps. There were guards in the building. Hidden behind a column was Vacant Haven. My heart was racing, but the camera kept recording. The guards didn't see him as they walked by. He kept looking around, carefully going from room to room. He found the library and read some amazing books. He had read about secret rooms hidden behind bookcases, and they were real. These were the same secret rooms that gave Batman Begins Wayne Manor scenes their ideas. He was really in Bruce Wayne's library, and there were secrets hidden behind the walls. Later, LA Bible and Content Bible bought his video, which was seen by millions more people. What people saw shocked them. The Rothschild mansion was empty and falling apart, but valuables were still inside that no one had taken back. Ben James, a professional photographer, also took pictures of the inside for the Daily Mail. His evaluation was terrible. He said that a lot of it is going apart and needs to be torn down. All over the place, ceilings are falling. It would cost too much money for anyone to use for anything. In the Great Hall, the huge chimney from Reubens still stands. The item was too heavy to auction and too firmly attached to the building to be taken out. This priceless work of art, which is thought to have been made by one of the greatest painters in history, is in a room where the ceiling is falling in and rain is coming in through the holes in the roof. But Mentor Towers isn't the only Rothschild property that has been left empty and is hiding secrets. In France, across the English Channel, another family home has been falling apart for even longer. And what happened there has to do with the Nazis, hidden groups, and damage that happened over 70 years. The French chateau where the Nazis stole things and Chopin played. A neighborhood of Paris called Boulogne-Billancourt is home to another ghost of Rothschild's past glory. Between 1855 and 1861, Chateau Rothschild was built for James Mayer de Rothschild. He was the head of the French banking branch and may have been the richest person in the world when he died. The builder made a masterpiece that was based on the Versailles palaces. 120 m of stone walls made up the fronts. Columns made of red marble from the Languedoc area of France supported the balconies. The royal beauty of the Sun King's palace was evoked by the white marble capitals. The 100-hectare park around the building was planned by the same Joseph Paxton who made Mentor Towers. There were traditional French gardens and landscape gardens in the English style. In the summer, a beautiful rose garden appeared. There was shade from a unique trellis covered in wisteria. Waterfalls fell through carefully arranged rock formations. This is where the most famous artists and composers of the 1800s gathered. A lot of people came to see the artist Rossini. Honoré de Balzac, one of the best French writers, was the same way. The painter Delacroix lived in these walls for a while. Then there was Chopin. The famous Polish musician was so moved by his time at Chateau Rothschild that he gave one of his most famous pieces to Charlotte de Rothschild. This is the place where he wrote his waltz opus 64 No. 2. In these rooms, one of the most beautiful pieces of piano music ever was written. A lot of wealthy families around the world use the Rothschild way of decorating, which is also known as Gut Rothschild. The heirs, Vanderbilts, and Rockefellers all tried to copy the style of the Rothschild family. In terms of pure taste, this French chateau was one of the best examples known to man. As war clouds gathered over Europe in 1937, the family made a terrible choice. In the ground below the fields, they built a bomb shelter. This shelter had a direct link to the basement and cells of the chateau. Music. There were several rooms inside with airlocks that were designed to keep paintings, chandeliers, and other artwork safe in case of an emergency. When the war did happen, though, the shelter was never used for what it was meant to do. As Germany attacked France, the Rothschild family ran away to England. The Nazis who took over the chateau had very different plans for its valuables. During their 4-year occupation, the German Navy took the property and stole from it all the time. Valuable works of art disappeared. After the prisoners were freed, American forces did more damage. The family never went back to live there again. Years went by. Things went wrong with the chateau. For the price of 1 franc, Baron Edmond de Rothschild sold the land to the city of Boulogne-Billancourt in 1979. Right away, the city sold it again to a Saudi prince for around 50 million francs. After that, a Dutch company bought it and left it to rot. Over the next few decades, there were 2 huge fires that almost destroyed what was left. Squatters moved in and damaged the inside. Part of the roof fell off. Graffiti was written on every surface inside. Plants grew on top of the once beautiful stairs. In the 2010s, the mayor said the building would not be able to handle another winter. After that, something amazing happened. In 2013, a French events company held an illegal party in secret inside the ruins. 200 carefully chosen guests wearing masks went to a secret ball in the salons that were covered in graffiti. To stay away from the cops, they met in a secret place and then followed a path set up like in a theater through underground rooms. They drank champagne in the halls where Chopin used to play and danced on a huge staircase until dawn. It looked like a scene from Eyes Wide Shut, but it was a real Rothschild home. In 2016, a French real estate developer finally bought the chateau. After being ignored for 37 years, restoration work has begun. The goal is to bring it back to the spirit and beauty of the time of the Rothschilds. But not all Rothschild homes were lucky enough to be saved and fixed up. The Nazis in Vienna did more than just steal from family homes. They deleted them from existence in a planned way. The story of what happened to the Austrian Rothschilds is still one of the saddest parts of the family's past. The Austrian branch had 5 beautiful houses. They had almost 3,500 pieces of art in their collection. Everything ended in just a few days when Nazi Germany took over Austria in March 1938. Baron Lou von Rothschild was arrested at the Vienna airport right after Austria became a part of Germany. The Gestapo held him hostage at the Hotel Metropole for more than a year and asked for an astronomical amount of money as a ransom. The amount needed to free him was $21 million, which is the most money ever paid as a ransom for a person. Hitler was asked to free him by everyone, even Queen Mary of the UK and the Duke of Windsor. Adolf Eichmann, who would later plan the Holocaust, set up his main office for helping Jews move to Europe inside Palais Albert Rothschild. The family home was turned into a place where people were persecuted. All 5 Rothschild palaces were cleaned out in a planned way by Austrian museum workers and Nazi soldiers. They chose 269 of the most beautiful paintings for Hitler's Linz Museum. Hermann Göring was in charge of the theft. There were more than 40,000 family papers taken away, and Russia would not give them back until 2001. One family member did not get away. Elizabeth de Rothschild was born Elizabeth Pelletier de Chambouret. She was a Catholic noblewoman who married Baron Philippe de Rothschild and became a Jew. Philippe ran away to England to join the Free French forces after the pair broke up. Elizabeth didn't have as much luck. The Gestapo caught her in 1941 because she tried to cross the line with fake papers. She was sent to Ravensbrück, a prison camp. She died there on March 23. On March 23, 1945, just a few weeks before she was freed, she died there. The government says she died of typhus. The writings of her husband tell a scarier story. Elizabeth is the only member of the main Rothschild business family to have died in the Holocaust. More than 500 people with the last name Rothschild died in Nazi camps. Baron Louis lived, but he drowned in the Caribbean in 1955. In the same year, work began to tear down his house in Vienna. The 5 Rothschild palaces in Austria were all torn down. They are no longer there at all, they have been replaced by new buildings. One historian said that the history of the Rothschild family has been erased from people's memories in Vienna. Even though they lost a lot, the Rothschild banking business did not end. It is now in its 7th generation and is still one of the most powerful families in the world when it comes to money. Just like everyone else, they learned to blend in. Now, 4,600 workers work for Rothschild & Company in more than 40 countries. It is one of the top 10 firms in the world for mergers and acquisitions advice and the biggest in Europe in terms of successful deals. The family took the business private again in 2024, taking it off the stock market to keep full control. The Edmond de Rothschild Group in Geneva is in charge of assets worth 184 billion Swiss francs. Ariane de Rothschild is now in charge of it. She is the first woman and person who was not born into the Rothschild family to run a Rothschild bank. Only Irope House is still owned by the Rothschild family today out of all the English Rothschild share farms. Wotton Manor is owned by the National Trust and is open to hundreds of thousands of tourists every year. Mentor Towers keeps falling apart. Its future is unknown. It's important to remember that the abandoned Rothschild homes are reminders of a deep truth about people. The passing of time can't be stopped by even the richest people. In the 1800s, this family had more money than all of Europe's royal houses put together. Their estates were home to Queen Victoria and inspired Hollywood, and their collections filled the world's largest auction houses. However, they couldn't stop their palaces from turning into graffiti-covered ruins that were patrolled by security guards carrying chains. Still, the discoveries keep interesting us. Bruce Wayne's house has hidden rooms behind bookshelves. A bomb shelter that was built to protect valuable art but was never used because the Nazis stole the art first. Valuable paintings are still hanging in places that are falling apart. A secret ball with masks in a broken-down castle where Chopin used to play. These aren't just